So there is no video as of yet. If that comes on, I'm sure you guys will give us a signal from back there if we get video up. Thank you.
Do you want us to wait till they do, or go ahead?
We have audio.
We have audio, so I think that will suffice.
Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and start. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see a crowd here. This is awesome. We don't have this many people usually, so we're going to open up with the Seminole Airport Authority. Jay, can we have a roll call, please?
Chris Hansen. Here. Trace Connor. Here. Tim Poplin. Eddie Foreman.
Here.
John Kramer. Here. Larry Church.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right. Consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and I don't think we have any appearances or petitions from the audience for the Seminole Airport Authority. Sharon, correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have anybody signed in for that one, correct? Okay. With none, then we'll go ahead and receive a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor? All right, motion passes. Okay, moving on to the Seminole Gas Authority. Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
Larry Church.
Here.
Tim Poplin. Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Trace Connor. Here. John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Hansen.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. And with no items removed from the consent agenda, do we have any appearances or petitions from the audience for the Seminole Gas Authority? Don't think we have any. All right, just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on. All right, moving on to Seminole Municipal Authority. Can we have a roll call, Jay?
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Tim Poplin. Dana Miller.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Chris Hansen.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Can we have a roll call, Jay?
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Trace Connor. Yes. Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, do we have any appearances or petitions from the audience for the Seminole Municipal Authority? All right, move for a motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to the Seminole City Council meeting. Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
Tim Poplin. Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yeah.
Trace Connor. Here. Chris Hansen.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer. Chris, would you mind with the prayer?
Father in heaven, thank you for the city of Seminole and all of those who make Seminole home. Thank you for those who have made Seminole what it is today. Please open our minds and our hearts as we discuss tonight's business so that we may make the best decisions for the city of Seminole and its citizens. We ask this in your name. Amen.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yeah.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, we're moving on to appearances and petitions from the audience. And it looks like we've got quite the list. So we're going to go in order of the way these were signed in. So let's do Chris Courtney's the first one signed in. If you will, state your name and address for the record.
Chris Courtney, 58 Shady Acres, Seminole. Some things that came to our attention in the last 3 weeks. There's a storm on our hands that needs to be talked about. Contractors coming to town, some have license, some don't. I had an episode out of Shady Acres. It was taken care of today and last week. Met a lot of decent people out there. We got it taken care of. There's damages that are being done all over our town. Walk out the back door of City Hall. You'll see there's the evidence right there. It ain't just one contractor, it ain't just 2 or 3, but people are leaving this town and leaving the work behind. If something don't get done, this town's, I mean, it ain't all of them, but quite a few of them's leaving work that needs to be done. In the alleyways, there's a lot of damage from the digging being done. When they put the new gas lines in, they got a mound of rock outside some of the alleys. Kate Hitt's building, 4 businesses got flooded. I want to say a lot more. I know I only got 5 minutes, and I know the room is crowded tonight. I just think that we need to pay more attention to some of the contractors coming to town. I don't want to open Pandora's box. We need contractors in this town. I am one myself. When I have a complaint, I try to address it. Not too long ago, someone complained on me, 2 or 3 meetings ago. It was handled. It was brought to my attention, it was handled. It ain't a matter of if something's gonna happen on a property. It's bound to happen. It's a matter of what we do to rectify the situation. The situation that I was in, it was kind of handled poorly, but it was handled accordingly last week. Too bad things had to go to that step. There's several people around town that are complaining. They were asked to come tonight. I don't know what some of these people are here for, whatnot ever. It's a larger problem than that. I just think that we need to pay more attention to what's going on with contractors. That's my only thing. Hold them more accountable or whatnot ever. I don't know how y'all want to do it, how y'all want to say it. If you don't believe what I'm saying, go to code enforcement. They're holding a list of complaints right now. Some of the people down at City Hall are holding the complaints. I know, I've talked to people. I've spent the last 3 weeks talking with people to find out what was going on. Why? Y'all need your due diligence. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you. Next up on the list, Tarek Geist.
Hi, I'm Tara Geist. I'm here representing Boomtown tonight. So I don't know if you still need my address or not, but it's 1014 Foxtrot. We are finally in the stage, I just wanted to give an update. We are finally in the stages of fundraising. So that being said, we still need $1 million to fundraise. So if you have anything that you want to give us in the next coming year, we'd appreciate it. We have secured a partnership with the Community Foundations of Oklahoma. So we're finishing up all of our paperwork on that, getting that signed off on, but they'll be able to hold our funds for us, which is huge because we tried partnering with like local nonprofits to do that, but we have to have $1 million, and we didn't want to jeopardize anybody else's nonprofit status. Part of that was because they can only hold 50,000 or less, and if we gave them more than that, they could lose it. So that's when we found Communities Foundations of Oklahoma. So we're going to work with them and move forward with that. We received $35,000 last week from the tourism board. So they haven't given us a check yet. That'll come after we sign the line with everybody else. So we're slowly moving forward. We have about $57,000 that we've raised currently, and that's without really even trying right now. If we can have all of the funds raised by October, we will be able to have the new playground in place by April and May of next year. So that's kind of where we are. We do have a big advisory board meeting coming up on June 21st. Wrangler is actually sponsoring it for us, and they're holding it there. many invitations to select people in town to have them come in and help give us fundraising ideas. Because I don't know how you raise $1 million in a short amount of time. So we're hoping that the people will come with ideas or come with like donations. So that's kind of where we are. But we are moving forward. We didn't want you guys to think that we're just forgetting about it. This has been quite the process. We're about a year and a half into it. So but we have light at the end of the tunnel now. So, yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate all the work you guys are doing. We really do. Chris Courtney. Oh, they added it to this other list too.
They had two lists.
Oh, you signed up again. Gotcha. All right. Jamie Carter. What? Somebody put your name on the list. You don't need to speak?
Oh, no, that was a sign-up sheet. Now we signed the wrong list.
Oh my God. You know, I'm the fill-in tonight and you're giving me a hard time. This is not even cool. I'm gonna mark you off. Not forever, but just off my list for tonight. Leanne Morgan, did you sign the same thing? Man. Here, I thought we had a big list for tonight. I was all excited. All right. Gary Hidley is on the list.
Thank you. My name is Gary Hiley. I do not live in the city of Seminole. I live in Choctaw, Oklahoma. I am here as the CEO for Canadian Valley Electric Cooperative and CVC Fiber, our wholly owned subsidiary. Two quick things today that I wanted to just be sure the city council was aware of. First of all, we've had some statements about some contractors, but we do have a lot of contractors working in the area. It is our desire to always leave property better than when we found it. And we strive to do that. So if anybody continues to have any issues with that, they should first address that with the contractors. And if they don't get a resolution there, then I'm happy to talk to them and we can figure out the solutions to that, or I can find new contractors. So that's pretty easy to deal with. So that's the first one. The second thing, I just wanted to take about 1 minute to give you a brief update on the fiber optic broadband project, because we do get a lot of questions about that. The bill to the city of Shawnee, it was requested by the city of Shawnee to be all underground. We've been making good progress on that. About 80 miles of underground facility to be put in the ground. As of today, until we have 36 miles in the ground. We started digging 3 months ago, 2 months ago. It hasn't been that long. So this is going along pretty quick. People are asking then the ultimate question, when can we get hooked up? I will tell you, I'm going to hedge my bets to be safe and say early fall. I've heard some dates that are sooner than that, potentially much sooner than that, but I think early fall is a safe bet to be hooking people up. We do have our fiber hub with the electronics on the ground, the property that we purchased. Like I said, we've got 36 miles of that 80-mile project in the ground already. So looking forward to bringing those services to town. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This next one on the list, Kristen Hill, are you actually going to speak for us? I'm just kidding. Come on up.
Well, she's on the agenda.
Yeah, I don't know that this, are you going to,
On the addendum.
I'm gonna do I'm on the addendum actually.
oh, the presentation?
Yeah, the presentation.
Do you want me to wait?
Hold it, so you can ask questions.
Okay, yeah, we'll hold it.
Questions, right?
Let's hold on then.
Wait.
Yep, yep.
You'll find out, you're right.
All right. Okay, moving on. We're going to go ahead and open up the public hearing on the budget for this year. I think you guys probably have some material back there that you could look at, or it's been posted, but do we have any discussion items for the budget for the city this year? If you have questions, now's the time to ask.
Steve, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Steve, when we're working on the budget work program,
Yes.
It just reminded me of the question about Boomtown. I know that we had put that specifically under the city council one. Can you tell me if it made it to this one or where it's at?
Sure. Okay. Typically, we usually go through the budget, and then when we get into the capital improvement piece, I'll dress down what made it into this session. Obviously, you guys are going to be able to make any adjustments you want tonight, or if we want to call another meeting, you can certainly adjust this budget. This is still a fluid situation. So if you don't mind, let me go through the operations side, and then when we get into the capital improvement, I can answer your question directly. Otherwise, I'm going to be hunting and pecking and miss something that's
Yeah, it's
fairly
fine.
important.
Go right ahead.
All right. The first thing I need to say is that Jay Cox is a hero of mine. He works nonstop to keep us within the budget boundaries and helping set up this budget. He's I don't know what we'd ever do without him. Hopefully, his retirement age is going to be 93, and we may let him go to the house and enjoy his lifestyle that way. The second thing I need to, the public probably is not aware of all the budget work sessions that this council goes into, hours and hours and hours of debate and trying to understand and wrap their arms around all the operations that the city does, everything from the library to the cemetery to the lake, and then the more obvious, the fire, police, public works, water, sewer, golf course, things that are more visible. But it takes a lot of time, and I just want to applaud you guys' efforts and the hours that you spend doing that on a volunteer basis. It's pretty remarkable. All right, that being said, let's get into it. Probably a good summary of this is that the city of Seminole is in good shape financially. We are at the highest budget level that we've ever been at, and we're pretty proud of the way that the citizens have supported us with their shopping habits, and that becomes pretty clear in what budget revenue we're seeing. In the revenue side, in the general fund, we have seen $14,762,000, and I'm rounding these, so it's approximate. That's the total general fund revenue. General fund CIP, $25,000, and water sewer revenues are $12,310. So again, we're in very good shape. And that does allow our city council to appropriate good money to what's necessary to run the city. Total revenues in the wellness center, $352,000, and the total appropriations. Now we're going to appropriate the money that we've just talked about in the revenues. That total appropriation is $14,619,000. General fund is equal at $25,000. Water and sewer appropriations will be $12,202,000, and wellness center will be $419,000 in appropriation. So the ending fund balances, this is probably what will interest you the most. Ending fund balances in the general fund will be $1,640,000. In the water sewer fund, ending balance is $4,132,000, and in the wellness center, which I should, CIP, water sewer CIP, the ending fund balance will be $526,000. So the wellness center is a little bit unique, and I say this every year, but I think it's important every year to refresh everyone's memory. The Wellness Center operates like a business, and it's very unusual to have a business operating within a city. And for that reason, the accountants, the governmental accounting folks, call that an enterprise fund, or a business operating within your city government. In that case, the money is a cumulative rather than a yearly appropriation. It's a cumulative activity. So the net loss for the Wellness Center over the 12 years of its operation is $259,000. So that's not this year. This year was approximately, Matt just briefed us recently.
From 65 to about 32.
Okay, so, but that's not official. Jay is official. I'm going to keep it what's on the paper, which is $66,000 loss in this year. There are significant evidence that that's about half of that when the final books are closed out. So that is the appropriation side of it. In general terms, and I can get into as much detail as you care to do, most of that has been done over the hours and hours that we've spent in work sessions, but let's go to, you know what, let's go into the general fund. I'm going to give you a few specifics, kind of hitting highlights here, and that will be page 1 of the fund summary in your packet. So the police department this year, no, let's go up to street department. Street department this year will be allocated $582,000. So this is all operations side, not including what we will talk about in a moment, which is capital improvement. In other words, monies to actually do the street. This is all operations. In the police department, the allocation is $1,346,000. Fire and ambulance is bumping $2 million at $1,960,000. Community service at $362,000, and let's go to parks. The parks allocation for this year is $359,000 for operations, and libraries at $253,000. General government, which includes everything from electric bills to phone bills, gasoline, et cetera, that comes in at $1.3 million, or $1,384,000. So we've got many transfers. We talk a lot about this in the work sessions. In order to keep our bond ratings with Standard & Poor's or Moody's, whomever is doing our bond rating, we transfer a lot of money in and out of our public works accounts and our general fund, just making sure that all the cash flow from sales taxes hits, and it shows us as a prosperous community. It's a normal function, but it does serve a purpose, and therefore we're transferring $7,075,000. So with that kind of gives you a high-level summary, and any kind of detail that you want to go into in the operations, we're glad to do that. If not, we'll go into the capital improvement, which I'm sure is really what the citizens are here to talk about. And then if you're in charge, if you want to back up and get into some more detail in operations, we can.
Stephen, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So just really quickly before we move on to capital improvement, and back to the wellness center. So to be clear though, that from what I understand you say is that overall, how long it's been in operation? As of today, it's in the red.
That's right.
Is there, what's the why? Why? Because if you say we operate as a business, I don't know if I would run a business that would just continuously be running in the red. So can you explain to me why, one, it's in the red, and then two, do we have a plan to get it out of the red?
Wow. That's 12 years of reasons. So it can be everything from COVID related, where people were dropping memberships because they didn't want to be around people, especially touching equipment that other people were touching. So that is one of the primary reasons. Other reasons, electric bills, gas bills that were not anticipated. I think most of us have got that at our own home. So those are the types of things that have caused a 12-year cycle in the red. there have been years, should note, there have been years where we broke even and even made money in the wellness center. So this is not a every year loss.
Is there a plan in place to improve it, or do we just keep going as?
Yes, ma'am. That was discussed at the 5 o'clock Wellness Center meeting, and there is discussion about going up on the rates. The discussion was, hey, we've either got to cut cost or we've got to go up. This is not going to be a profitable thing unless we do so. So Matt's evaluating what other systems are doing. One of the immediate things that's going to be done is change out some of the, what was the light called, Matt? Mercury vapor lights, which are much more expensive to run with LED lights. Yes, that's a cost, but long-term, it's a savings. So the discussion is underway. I don't have a plan for you tonight.
But, so you said there was a 5 o'clock meeting
Yes, ma'am.
for the wellness center. Is that just for their board members, or is the public?
No, it's a public meeting. Every month at 5 o'clock on council night, you're welcome to be there. Actually,
It's never been
5:15.
on my calendar.
5:15.
Okay. Thank you.
Any citizen can attend that. It is a public forum.
Okay, great. I would just like to caution that, increasing the rates might have the opposite effect and have folks not be able to afford that. I just want to keep that in mind for, especially folks in my ward who live close and who utilize it quite a bit. I wouldn't like to see that happen to them. So maybe
That was the exact discussion,
Okay.
was
Yeah.
what happens if we raise the rates and we lose a bunch of members, then we're deeper in the hole.
Right.
So that's probably gonna, that's why we've got Matt doing this, the study, research.
Just to give you an idea too, that there were some years where these rooms were utilized that really were free or low cost. Matt's done a really good job at bringing those events back here, the weddings, the baby showers, whatever they may be, and charging them the correct rate. So we're digging out of a hole, because I've been on that board for 5 or 6 years. We've been digging out of this hole for a while. It was really bad at one time, but it is a lot better than what it was, I can tell you that. And the operations are much better. Matt's real good about taking constructive criticism, and when we realize that we're not making money, we're going to turn it around. You just got to do it in the right way, and those rates are part of it. I mentioned just $5 would help a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be an extreme, because we're not just a really well-off community per se in terms of income. We do have some low-income people here, so we don't want to totally drown somebody, but we are keeping that in mind too. So,
Will the council, I'm sorry.
no, you can go ahead.
Will the council get to see the improvement plan, or is that something that only the board looks at? Because just as representing our ward, and when I hear you say things like it's a business, but we're in the red, that concerns me just anywhere. So,
Should.
I would like to be able to be, I'm not on the board and I don't want to be, you guys are doing a good job. I just want to be able to maybe see, kind of what those plans are, and if the council could weigh in on it at some point, I think would be helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
We'll make it happen.
All right, thank you.
Seems as though you don't have many sources of revenue, right? You have membership rates, rent-out stuff, and then beyond that, what is there?
Concessions.
Concession?
Yeah, some concession, yes, sir.
Okay, and is there any way to engage in different enterprises that might raise revenue? I don't have any idea what it would be, but is that an option for a city-run business like we have to explore other areas for revenue? Is it?
We can charge for things. I don't want to, this shouldn't come off as flippant, and I'm not intending it to, but things like city council meetings, planning commissions, things that burn electricity and take up their space, we're not charging that. So a lot of community activity, whether it's Snowman Wonderland or other things that our community expects this place to provide, are not being charged for. So even though it's a business, in some cases it's treated more like a city public facility.
Yeah, I understand that all things that cities provide can't be profitable.
Exactly.
Some stuff has to be offered at lower than cost for citizens to be able to participate in.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want that to go away. But I don't like seeing red ink.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
And
you.
What do we have? We counted 20, what was the roll today? 2,600 and some odd members. So you're talking about, gosh, that's a big part of our city that actually comes here.
Yeah.
But the money you get from each person isn't the biggest amount. So it takes a lot of members to make this thing flourish, and a lot of rentals. So the rentals has really picked up quite a bit.
Right.
We've noticed that. So that's where your money comes into. These big events that we have, you know, I think they're doing a jump rope camp. That one's very profitable because it brings in quite a bit of money, plus concessions. So those things really help us out, but it's just getting people to use it and pay the fee and come.
Marketing.
I mean, it's because the way this, I mean, it's set up here as this enterprise. Otherwise, it would be just like all of these other services that we have that you don't really see what they make and what they don't. I mean, for instance, we have a park system. We don't make money off the park system.
Right.
We have a library. We don't make money off the
Right.
library. So it's kind of like another service for our citizens, and it's set up so we can charge and have services that we make that's differently than the regular city services. So isn't that the reason it's set up as this enterprise fund? Is so it can be run more like a business and tracked a little differently? Is that?
That's correct.
Okay. So to me, even though it shows that when you're looking over 12 years, you know, averages out to $21,000 a year loss over 12 years. If you look at all of these other things that we provide, it's probably every bit the same or more. So I kind of look at it that way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but if I want to go to the library, it's free to me as a citizen. If I want to go to a park, it's free to me as a citizen. If I come in here and start working on the workout equipment without a membership and charge it for free, then I will be kicked out. So I see that. I guess my next question would be is, are they able to apply for grants or, I don't know, I know that being as a city, being that we own it, can we apply for grants so they can get maybe new equipment or add on or add new services, things that might pull in? And I don't want to get too deep into this because I know you're working on a plan, but are they able to get grants?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not familiar with any of them that provide equipment, but they are obviously eligible as a municipal authority to apply for grants. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, let's get into the capital improvement summary. This is what most citizens really want to talk about. In the money generated by the 2012 refunding, now this is a sales tax that was voted on in 2004. The allocation in that ballot was that 69.7% should go to parks and 30% should go to the water system. So the allocation that you guys have appropriated this year, 120,000 of that went to neighborhood park upgrades. So the discussion was and is we should be providing some other equipment, not necessarily at Boomtown, but other equipment for Chase and McGuire and other park places, provide some equipment. Public beautification for 25,000. So this would be things for public art. This is not geared at one specific organization. I should say that. That was a discussion within some of the work sessions that, you know, we don't want one organization to feel like this is their money, but we are going to appropriate $25,000 for public beautification. You also bought or have appropriated money to buy a 60-inch Kubota lawn tractor for $24,000, skid-mounted sprayer for the weeds at $17,000. The cemetery is getting a 125-gallon sprayer for $4,000, and we are going to rewire Magnolia Park. If you're not aware, the wiring underneath the walking trail is toast. Even though it'll come on here in a few minutes, the more load that we put on it, the less likely it is going to be to work. We're projecting that at least half of it is probably going to fail during Snowman Wonderland this year. So it's time. It needs to be rewired for $155,000. And then we've got water well repairs. This is a proactive thing. In the past months, you guys have seen some water wells go down on us, and we've come to you and asked for non-budgeted items for water well repairs. And we're trying to get ahead of that game. We've allocated, you all have allocated $75,000 to do some proactive repairs on wells that are older. And then a Kubota tractor for $73,000 that does a lot of the mowing around the water stuff. Okay, let's move into the 2010 bond account. That's a half-cent sales tax that was voted on by the citizens. We've got proposed allocations that would go to a skid steer with a brush attachment. This would be largely used in the alleys after the tornado. I think we all found the value of having a skid steer, a track with tracks, and the ability with a grapple. You've allocated $145,000. Streets, you guys have been able to give us $200,000 to overlay a complete street. We've tried to do 3 a year and just keep them rotating. This year, you guys said, look, that's great. We want you to do 3 more this year, but we want Main Street repaired from Strother to the library. So I'll call them speed bumps that are really hard to get to navigate. We're thinking for $200,000 we can get that done. So $400,000 total allocation to the street reconstruction or resurfacing. Line construction. The water and sewer lines in many parts of Seminole are well over 80 years old, and it's this team of line construction crew. They do a fantastic job, and they've been, as you saw in Bryant Baker's presentation a couple of months ago, they do a lot of blocks, in some cases miles of sewer and water line replacement. You've given them $200,000 to buy bedding and the pipe to go in those. And then we've also allocated $140,000 for a single axle dump truck. Some of those sewer lines that I just spoke about are in areas that may have fiber optics, may have AT&T lines, many gas lines are buried, and it's just almost impossible to get the track hoe in there and do that excavation. In those cases, we do a technique called pipe bursting, and that's a technique where they are able to pull line, a flexible line through it and superheat it so that when it expands, it's capped off. So we call that pipe bursting, and you guys have allocated $200,000 for us to do that. $250,000 for pipe bursting. They also are going to be allocated $122,000 for a new backhoe. Okay, moving on, the 2006 1 cent sales tax voted on by the public, and then we refunded a portion of that in 2015. we've got the proposed allocations are for Seminole to do a new master plan. We're calling it the Seminole 2050 plan. We just had a great public hearing, by the way, Amanda Cooner and her team, but we need to have a lot more of that. And that 2050 plan is just a culmination of everything from church groups to civic groups to widely viewed citizens to schools. Everything, everybody gets a say in that master plan. What do we want Seminole to become? The allocation for that is $65,000. And then the city hall renovations are in for $30,000. Every summer we lose about $30,000 worth of heat and air equipment on various buildings. So you guys have allocated $30,000 for that. And then the Heritage House has some issues. The walk-in freezer is toast, so we're allocating $10,000 for that. $7,000 for a fire alarm upgrade. The hazard mitigation plan is an important tool that we use with the Oklahoma Emergency Management Team, and it definitely affects grants, not just for the city, but public schools, for tornado rooms, et cetera. They have to have a hazard mitigation plan from the city, and we've allocated $4,000 to do that. Upgrades to the city council chambers at the library, we're about ready to move back in there. We're upgrading that for about $3,000 to do that. At the lake, we've got a lake ranger that hasn't had a boat for a long time. You guys have allocated $15,000 to buy a boat for the lake ranger, and then do some more dirt work on coves 2 and 4 at the lake for $5,000. At the airport, you guys are aware that we've received some major grants from the FAA and the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission. That is going to significantly upgrade the taxiway, allow for more jet traffic and a little bit larger King Air type traffic. That allocation is $200,000, and the instrument rating approach for $50,000. All right, moving on to the 2021 note and 2023 bond account. That's about a penny and a half. So the proposed allocations for this are for animal control. We're going to $50,000 this year. That's a significant increase. And then for the we're buying 2 patrol cars, $49,000 each, and replacing the computers at the police department for $9,000. At the fire department, we are buying new battery-operated extrication equipment for $35,000, and buying a new a chief vehicle for $45,000. Water and sewer lines. This is a shop building. The old shop building will be torn down during the construction of the new sewer plant. So we've got to have a place to put them, and we're going to be spending $70,000 on moving them into a new facility. The water sewer lines are going to receive 2 half-ton trucks at $35,000. Golf course is going to have irrigation repairs for $20,000. And then the city hall server, all the things that we run, all of the accounting system and water bills, et cetera, for $16,000 for that server. And then the Wi-Fi upgrades system-wide will be $10,000. The library is going to get a new replacement for their old storage building, which is on its last leg, for $15,000. And then there are significant remodels for the city hall under the city clerk allocation on your sheet. The restrooms in the auditorium for $40,000, $25,000 for break room remodel, replace auditorium carpet for $25,000. The admin office and auditorium doors, 25 and 20,000 each. Repaint admin offices for 15,000. On the wellness center, we do have $4,000 allocated to them to buy a new treadmill. I don't remember the mileage that each of those treadmills has, but I don't know. It was incredible.
Over
70,000 miles. That's pretty amazing. So you guys have allocated 4,000 for that. Boomtown Playground, last year you guys allocated 150. You've added to that 250 for a total allocation for the Boomtown Playground replacement of $400,000. The Urban Renewal Authority, which has really taken the task of a lot of the downtown renovation and planning for trying to take that and do some significant refurbishment. You guys have kept that 750 that you gave them. You've kept that in full tact. They spent some of it, but you replaced that, and it is still at 750,000 in the next fiscal year. You have also added $100,000 for property demolitions, and heaven knows we've got plenty of those, and thank you very much for funding that. And then we've got $70,000 into legal expenses for water systems that we may or may not run into. So that, in a nutshell, is the CIP allocations. Now, real quick, if you don't mind, let me share you guys have expressed an interest in setting up reserve accounts, and we did that. Even though right now this is a technical thing that we're doing, it's more of an accounting function. In the coming weeks, or maybe a month or two, we are actually going to have ordinance that gives you actual accounts that you will deposit this money into. But for the time being, we're just going to tell you what the accounting function is going to look like. So we know that eventually we're going to be replacing or refurbishing Bourne Boulevard and Broadway. That was the street that was decommissioned by the highway department. Very difficult to keep the trucks off of it, as you're aware. And it's extremely expensive to repair. So every year we're trying to put some money into a reserve so that the council at the time that it's going to be needed won't have that same kind of sticker shock of $3 million. We don't have $3 million. So we're trying to stick money back into that. This year, their allocation, the total allocation going into that reserve fund will be $750,000. We've also got $200,000 added to $200 from last year for the tax increment finance debt that brought Bar S to us, or Sigma Alimentos, and that will probably be needed around 2028, 2029. So we're putting another $200,000 into that. So the total allocation that will be in the reserve account at the end of this coming fiscal year will be $400,000. Boy, this is something that saw a lot of debate in the work sessions, and that is the swimming pool, and how do we set that reserve up, and what does it look like, and what amounts are we going to allocate to that? It ended up, and we can debate this again, obviously, tonight. You can. That total allocation at the end of this fiscal year will be $400,000 in the reserve account for the swimming pool.
Steve, that's a separate one, right? From the 400,000 that you just mentioned, or that's included for the swimming pool?
It's 400 total for the swimming pool, 400 for the Bar S TIF debt, and then 750 for the Bourne Boulevard. Those are the reserve accounts that we're trying to establish.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Anybody have any questions? We're not voting on this at this time, it's just discussion, so.
Volunteer driving range on here. No, honestly, an honest question about the driving range. It seems like, as I recall, it was $800,000. I don't see the possibility of spending that much money on converting the ball diamond to a driving range, putting up nets, all that stuff. Nets aren't that expensive. The poles are already there. I don't know what it costs to put them up or what it would cost to convert the rest of it, but I don't think it comes anywhere close to $800,000. So, I don't know.
That was a wild guess
I don't know, it's
in
way-
terms of netting. Netting is expensive, as you
Yeah,
know,
it is.
especially when you start trying to piece a 80, what would it have to be, 140 feet tall? Those poles aren't that,
Aren't quite that tall now.
they're not that tall. So you'd have to buy new poles and netting to get that, and 800,000 was just
I
a
know it's a
big
ways.
guess.
But, you know, we've got a winning golf team. They have to travel to practice. I'm getting older and fatter, and I've got to warm up or my front nine
Pretty
is
ugly.
too high, and I do a little better on the back nines. That's basically because, you know, start warming up as you play. You know how it goes when you play golf. But I think it would help us in attracting corporate level businesses and international or national level businesses to come here, because I think a lot of those guys that come to look things over have some consideration about what is going to happen for them and their leisure and their families
Sure.
and so forth and stuff. And driving range is just, I mean, we've got a nice course. You play any club in your bag, and we're making improvements that is going to assure that it's going to be a nice course in the future. But no place to hit balls.
Yeah.
What Larry's trying to say is he wants a Top Golf
He wants
put in
Top
Seminole.
Golf.
That's what he's saying.
As an enterprise fund?
Sure.
Okay.
Can you tack that on the back of the entertainment center?
Right. I don't know that they're going to buy that.
Well, no one, you know, really, this is the most talk we've got out of it since I've been on the council. And the things are turning in that direction. We don't, we have access to ball fields that we didn't used to have access to.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, as far as I can tell, that ball diamond, the best purpose it has is for practice, which is essential, but we need some practice with others.
Yeah, just in transparency, that was on the discussion for this council to discuss
Yes, it was, yes.
on the work sessions. And
I'm just
frankly, I
Just
think we,
complaining that it didn't get this far. That's what I was trying to, what can we do to boost
I
it along?
think our total ask for all the different things was around 8.2 million.
Uh-huh.
And we've got roughly, what, 4.5 in there somewhere in allocations. I think you guys have done a fantastic job of spreading that between infrastructure needs that are every day we got to have with quality of life issues that, hey, we want Seminole to build up and have the amenities that people want to move here for.
I guess my question is the ball diamond remaining a ball diamond the sticking point on having, on converting that area into a driving range? Is that the sticking point, or is it just money, or is it just tradition? We've always had this ball diamond, and
If you're asking me,
I am, yes, I am.
if you're asking me,
Yes,
I
sir.
do what my bosses tell me to
I
do.
know.
I'm not sticking on anything, and if you tell me it's going to be a golf
I didn't
range,
say you two were. I'm just wondering, am I reading this right? or
ask them.
wrong?
Ask
Or-
them.
Yeah, I think it would be another enterprise we'd lose money on every year. That's my point.
Okay. Well, that's a partial answer to my problem, you know, with it, and that's good to know. You think it'll be a loser, a money loser?
Unless you sell alcohol, it will be. That's how they make money at Topgolf.
Okay.
Chris didn't get his turning lane into his addition
Oh,
either,
I
so.
know.
20 years,
Well,
20 years.
Well, so.
And it was only 80,000 20 years ago.
But some less than others, but I think it would generate some revenue if they sell, do they sell beer at the clubhouse?
It's, yeah, no.
I don't, forgot where I live.
You know, I just an afterthought. This was not discussed about in the meetings, but I do believe you've got a point.
Yeah.
But I think technology is catching up quickly, and the new golf simulators, I mean, I think that is a real option to look at. It won't take near the money or the space.
Well, I agree. I mean,
to
if
do-
something like that would work for me.
Yeah.
It's a place to go, warm up before you play, so you could play in the 90s at least, you know, the 80s.
Well, since we're just throwing around ideas about what to do with that space, I really, you know, the basketball courts, I don't know, other than John's Park, if there are any other public places to play basketball. We used to have one by the splash pad, but I think that's gone now. Does anybody know for sure?
Yes, it's gone.
It's gone. So, I mean, I would love to see, you know, a really nice basketball court with, you know, a fence and lighting and seating. And I think it would help too with our youth and our efforts to become a healthy city, to have them be able to access that for free and to play basketball and to get in shape and something that families can do.
You're taking money from our wellness center.
Do what?
You're taking money from our wellness center.
Well, I mean,
I'm
that's
just
true,
kidding.
but not everybody can afford to come to the.
It's
wellness
true. I'm just giving you a hard time.
So that's just my.
There is
while we're
no-
talking about it.
There is Northwood. They still have 2 or 3 goals out there as well. Northwood School has those still up.
Are
And they
those
do play there.
available to the public, or they just kind of just happen to go in there?
No,
No, they're
there's no lock
available.
on them at all. They used to lock that gate, and they don't anymore.
Yes,
so.
there's one
They're
at McGuire Park. There's
Mhm.
several
Oh,
at
McGuire.
Northwood. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Steve,
And-
I have a, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you finish. Ladies
All
first.
right, I have a question really quickly. On the parks, so you had mentioned, or on here it's listed neighborhood park upgrades, 120,000. And then we also have Boomtown Playground equipment replacement at 400,000. So just to be clear, those are 2 separate line items, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So when Tara Geis got up and mentioned their fundraising efforts, what does that 400,000 mean to their efforts to get the Boomtown? Because obviously we're not going to buy more equipment if they're going to replace it, right?
So they're trying to raise $1 million for their all-inclusive park. It is a destination park, and that will bring a lot of traffic to Seminole, and they're trying to raise $1 million. What this $400,000 will do is buy down what they have to raise. So they'll only have to raise $600,000 more. I say only. Well, that's a big task, but they'll only have to raise, boy, I keep saying only. They'll have to raise $600,000 left. The 120 is for what we consider neighborhood parks. So these would be some of those that I mentioned earlier.
Can we hear from Tara, like, if that's something, or is that really low?
I don't, are you shaking your head no, you don't want the money? Okay.
I think my question is just, were you aware that this was coming up? Is that in addition to your million? Is this the biggest gift you've ever received in your life? I don't know, like, what?
No,
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
we knew of the 150 that you guys allocated last year. We knew that money would be closing out by the end of this year, and we have not spent it because we didn't have, well, we were trying to get our nonprofit established. It's taking 15 to 18 months. We don't have that kind of time. I don't want to spend that much time in my life building a playground, not to be spend it by October of this year. So no, hearing that they've allotted a total of 400,000 between last year and this year, it's like huge. I feel like I could breathe. Instead of raising 700 or 850,000 now, I only have to raise 600,000.
Only.
Well, it's easy. It'll be easy. We can do it. So no, I had no idea this was coming. This will be huge to present to our board next week, assuming that everything gets passed.
I think the consensus with all of us is that you're helping make our city better. So the more money that we can invest in that is just that much better, because
It helps us when we start to write our grants and when we go visit like our foundations, we can show that our city is like buying in, showing like our partnership. Like when we wrote our community foundations application, they were amazed at how much like communication we have between the city council and the city, and now we're showing like a true partnership and being able to actually accomplish this. They commented on that multiple times, like in our phone interview. So I thought that was great. This gives us a leg when we go to like the Avitas Foundation and the Kiker Foundation and like all of that. Like this will really help us bring in that additional money.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if you guys discussed it in yours, but kind of part of my thought was if ever the pool was to be redone in the current location, it'd be really nice to have a really nice park and a really nice pool right beside each other, and they feed off of each other. So if you get hot at the park and you're done, the kids can just trot right up and go to the new pool, and you've had a whale of a day for a kid. So that was part of my thoughts, and you know, at least getting that on the, and I'm happy that you guys chose to put some money in the pool. I've been so against that for so long, but then I got so tired of people going to Holdenville, Maud, Wewoka to visit their pools, when if we build a new one, it probably would attract more people than the old one did. So it would look better and be more attractive. So I'm happy we're going that direction, and 400,000 is a lot towards it. And it's a lot less that we have to go to the people and say, hey, give me another half cent just to build a pool. That's kind of the option we don't want to do. And so this is working out pretty well. Yes, I caved, Chris.
Thank you.
About time your wife was on the pool committee, I believe.
She had nothing to do with that.
I have a couple things, well, on the park. We have $520,000 in parks, and I think that's great. However, I think we need to find some money, whether it comes from this or from somewhere else, to better protect our parks. Vandalism, things like that are occurring, whether it's finding ways to put better cameras out there. I'm not sure what the solution is, but before we start investing all this money into our parks, let's make sure we can protect it. I mean, we recently had vandalism at Chase Park, and I don't know that cameras do a whole lot, because I'm sure people usually cover themselves up, but at least it gives you a time frame where you can get with other people in the neighborhood. Maybe they've seen something, but I would like to find some way to protect this. And it would probably not hurt for it to be there for other things if there's something that goes on in a park that shouldn't, to have cameras aimed at all of them. And I'm not talking about just one, I'm talking about all of them. The
Good
other
point.
thing I want to talk about with the Boomtown Park, and I'm speaking from experience. We were advised to have a maintenance fund, to raise enough for a maintenance fund. We barely raised enough to cover the park. In fact, I'm not sure we did raise enough to cover the entire park back then in 2017 or 2007. But we really need to somehow, whether it's this year's budget, I don't know if we can come out of that, or if we can somehow allot some in the future for it, but we need a maintenance fund for that kind of a park to make sure that no matter what happens, there's always money there to take care of it and fix it. Because I think that was probably one of the failings with the current Boomtown Park, was not having the money and the funds set aside to do the maintenance on it over the years that really needed to be done.
Good point.
Yep, so when we do those, set up those accounts, maybe we can set it up, even though it may not have any money in it, but at least allocate some funds that direction. Can we do that, maybe?
I mean,
So-
I would just like to do something. I mean, I'm in a similar situation with us on the, or feel the same way. When we built this center, we were required to have, I believe it was 20% put back for maintenance, to use over some time. I'm not sure how that worked. Wasn't it like 1.6 million we had to put back out of the 8 million it took to build this place? I would like to see us do something like that for all these things we're doing, whether it's the $1 million park or it's the $3.5 million entertainment center. I want to make sure there's money there to take care of it. I don't want to see it be things that the city, well, you know, you know, you always hear these things, well, it's the cities, it's run down, they didn't take care of it. I don't want that to happen on this stuff,
Yep.
and from us on this council.
I would agree. I agree. And Steve's always pushing to be proactive and not reactive, so
Right.
we got to do something to make sure that doesn't
So we
happen.
try to blame you, Steve, no matter what.
It's not,
I'm a good blame taker, yes,
Give
sir.
you some kudos.
So, let me throw in here, you guys are bringing up really good options, and this budget is not nailed down. So if there are things that you would take out of the budget and you want to replace, for example, cameras at parks, you can do that. And even if you want to take 800,000 and spend it on a golf driving range, those are,
No, that's too rich for us.
okay.
When it's something.
Well, my point is, you can either deduct out of what you've got in this budget in front of you, or you can dip back into your water sewer fund and take a little bit more out of it. The reserves that you're putting in for Bourne Boulevard, et cetera, those are coming out of your reserve. If the fund summary, if you'll go back to that, here it is. That's the one I'm looking for. If you'll look at your fund summary and you look at those ending balances, everybody find the front page of the fund summary. If you'll look at those ending balances, those are what are available to you to spend. The accountant is pretty stern with us in saying, hey, you got to have 15, if you want to stay healthy, you need about 15% in reserve. But that's not a hard floor. If you guys say, you know what, if I don't want to spend this other money on these parks if we don't have protection, and the protection you want to use is cameras, and I'm just throwing this as an example, this is true of every line item. You guys have either the capability to reduce what's in the budget in front of you or dip further into your reserve accounts.
Now, in terms of protection, well, a thought came to me about curfew. Do we have a citywide curfew, people being out on the streets?
Not adults, it's only for
adults.
juvenile.
Is there, what's the catch on that? Because I put in cameras at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, there's people roaming around. And I'm not,
I haven't seen one and haven't seen a violation of it in quite some time. I believe it's 10 o'clock on weekdays and I believe it's
10 or 11 o'clock, I can't
midnight.
remember. But I think there's exceptions for like if they're.
Church or
if they're going
school.
to and from
Right.
work,
Yeah.
or. I
For
think-
juveniles under the age of 18.
I think if
That'd
they're
be-
leaving.
I can
the-
tell you specifically, but it's,
okay. Now,
we do have that.
do we have, is there a way to have that for adults too? It's not. Okay.
One time you'll see that is,
I'm out.
I don't know, I mean,
well, there'd have to be
carry me
a,
home.
You can't keep me from Walmart, boy.
I go home.
I'm out.
If we're in a state of
Casey's.
emergency, like.
yeah, state of emergency is the only exception. It's like we did during COVID or, you know, there was a martial law or something. that
The
they
tornado,
took.
you
Yeah, yeah,
did it.
okay.
Hey, Chris, I have a question. You're talking about, I absolutely agree that, you know, the vandalism and things like that. On the, I don't know what page it is. Looks like we have we're buying 2 new patrol cars.
I think that was with the tax we are supposed to, aren't we supposed to do something?
Those have to be
like
spent on
It's
certain.
like, it was part of a tax we passed. Do you remember, Jay?
Yeah, every 3 years, I think, we can replace patrol cars, and that's part of that.
So we're replacing patrol cars, we're not adding on.
Correct.
Because I was thinking maybe, because I know last year we got a new officer
Tahoe.
or a new detective.
I don't remember what it was.
I was just wondering if the additional resources to the police department could be used to maybe have further like patrolling of the parks and.
I think that requires adding additional officers on the side. I mean, don't we only have so many on patrol at one time?
Yes. What's the cost of doing that?
See,
100,000?
No. Well, you'll have to, if you buy a vehicle, yes. That's probably about right, 104, somewhere in there. Maybe not quite that. Let's go 90, 91 for a new officer plus a vehicle.
So if there was,
But that's just is that just one shift? Or, I mean, how many officers would you have to add?
You'd have to have
cover
3 to
24?
cover each shift, yes, sir.
I think we've got $120,000 in neighborhood park upgrades. I mean, maybe the first thing we should do is to do the cameras, see how much we have left, because I don't know, have we spotted exactly what those upgrades are?
No.
Because if we haven't done that, we could allocate that $120,000 for that. If we need more, we can pull from water sewer fund later in the year, right? If we need to.
Yes, sir. You
That
can
way we
always
simplify the process for tonight.
modify.
So that's your goal.
Good strategy. I like it.
Cameras at the neighborhood parks.
The cameras that we put at Boomtown, is that circumvent any kind of accident on time?
No, probably not. Actually, that became a TikTok fad to get on the camera. So,
Oh, gosh. They'll find anything.
yeah, no,
Now, are the cameras that cover Boomtown, are those still the ones that are mounted on the old area?
yes.
So
We're
those
not-
are really too far away and is part of it, and they're old. I mean, they're.
Well, they have one right across the street.
Yeah. No,
I think they used to film John doing all his work at the ball fields.
yeah.
You know, we're making sure we were getting some money.
I'll let you.
I'm on them all the time.
What exactly does it take to install a neighborhood watch? I mean, people were more active and seeing stuff like that.
there we go. We went down this road once before and,
Didn't work.
we got a decent response, but about that time, as I recall, it became more efficient, obviously more efficient, to use, whatever you call the media, you know, Facebook and stuff like that. And
I
so
say you
there
give
is
that-
presence on Facebook for.
Just give the cameras to Sean. Let him figure that out.
Yep.
Was, but a camera would be taken out with a BB gun, that's just.
They've got them pretty sturdy at this point. But, you know, let's be frank, that is not necessarily a deterrent.
That's right.
It may help us to solve the crime, but as a deterrent, I don't know that that's a
I
actual
think
thing.
probably the only deterrent would be a patrol car
Yeah.
at night. And,
Start parking the old ones there? Is that what we want to do?
What?
Park the old patrol cars at the parks?
there you
Put
go.
a
with
dummy,
the
put
in
a
it.
dummy in them?
They just get vandalized.
Probably.
Well, you gotta tag something too.
Well, one other thing that I wouldn't mind seeing a little more money, I don't know how much, I'd like to see maybe another 50, would be into the urban renewal. I mean, we've got so much stuff, so far still to go. And, you know, I know last year we took money out of what we had allotted for the downtown demo, but I would really like to, I mean, even if we move, you know, change that to 700 and put 150 in the demolitions, I would like to give them a little more money to work with and, you know, see if we can push that process along with the cleanup a little bit more.
Are you making these notes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Would that include, or could it include what you're saying, Chris, in the demolition, a street sweeper? Or is that, I don't know if that falls under demolition, but if it's urban renewal,
Cleanup thing,
Cleanup.
basically.
yeah.
So just as a reminder, the street sweeper was on the consideration sheet, the board. That is not on here. I can't even remember. It seemed like it was 110,000, 120,
I can tell you.
150. 150 was on the board for street sweeper, and we were going to try to do that with a floater to drive it, but that is not in here. So if you want to do the street sweeper, that is a new addition to what's on here.
we gonna replace stuff on here tonight without a vote on that, or, so this package that we vote on will have these changes made on it? When we were not discussing.
That's why,
Ever budget meeting?
that's why we're here, and that's why you're visiting with your public, is if you want to make modifications, you can do that at this point. Now, typically, what I would prefer to do is maybe have a special meeting later that would incorporate on this sheet and maybe be able to give it to the newspaper in case something that you've changed, somebody would be concerned about that in the public arena. Give them a chance to come respond again. So if we make, you know, I think the recommendation of using the park 120 to do cameras, I think that's okay.
Well, that's not changing the line item.
Right, right. But adding 150 for a street sweeper, that does substantially change the mindset of what's on the budget. You have any comment on that?
He does what he's told.
Substantially changes the character of that application.
Right.
Specified.
Simple disposal, don't they provide us street sweeper for us to rent as well if we didn't want to buy one for $110,000, or is that just?
No.
I thought I saw some equipment they had in there.
They may have in their original bid, but it's an expense on top of the service they provide. Last 2 years ago, we hired a service, and it was a cheap bid, and they tried to throw a change order about 5 times what they bid. So we've not been back trying to contract that out. And I've not heard from other city managers have any success doing that.
Well, I'd rather have safe streets at night than
Then clean
than clean streets. The 150,000, is that what it says street sweeper is, something like that?
150,
That would pay for an officer and a vehicle.
right, yes. 2, yes. So one important note on the street sweeper is they're not effective on any street that doesn't have a curb. So we've got several that I can think of that don't have a curb. It would be great for downtown probably. Well, with the bricks, we never know exactly what kind of production we're going to get. They had a really difficult time last time we contracted down there with tearing up bricks. So.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. They're hard to put back like they need to be.
Mhm.
But wasn't there a mention earlier about some funding to redo the street from Broadway to the library?
No, sir.
Oh, I thought you mentioned that or something.
Yes, sir. That was from Strother to the library.
Strother to the library.
Does not include the bricks.
We're not tearing any bricks out.
Unless you want to.
Well, I
Yes.
have plenty of bricks, as it turns out. If somebody wants some, I have some to give away. But no, I like the bricks too. And one nice thing about them is they're like one continuous speed bump. Slows the traffic down through town.
We can pick them back up and get that back out smooth and that.
Oh, goodness.
But the problem is that I have to jump from the curb to the street, and now I've got 2 things to move. I've got me and I've got my stomach. And I just can't get both of us over that at the same time.
Steve, I have just one more. So we don't have to address the street sweeper right now. It's just, if you said before that you had looked into getting a contractor and there were issues, I would just like to ask that you do that again and
Okay.
see what other options we have. I like the idea of just renting it. Maybe we don't have to own it. So I would just ask that you just, you and your team look into a cheaper way of getting it done, but ensuring that it does get done. Thank you.
Okay, so Steve, just so I'm keeping up, really the only change we have right now was the one mentioned by Chris for those funds. That one and what else?
I've got use the 120 to go into cameras first.
Okay,
So,
but that
and
won't
then
change anything we're gonna vote on, right?
That could be voted on tonight. The addition,
Doesn't change the budget, yeah. We're not
Say-
changing the line item, we're just changing,
Right.
we're just designating a use for it, which we really don't even have to do that, do we? Because it's still considered an upgrade.
right.
Okay,
Then-
This will also come back to bids for us before anything's done with any of it, right?
That's correct.
okay, so we're good on that.
We could scoot to the microphone and say that again.
I said, all these items will come to us for bid. I mean, it will be bid out, and then they'll come back to us to vote to approve
Yeah.
or reject it at the time the money's actually spent.
That's
Not to exceed amounts.
absolutely correct. Okay, then I've got $50,000 for the sewer board.
Some additional
Add 50,000 to the 750.
to the 100.
Oh, property demo, not this, okay.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going 50 to the property demolition. So that would give them a total allocation of 150,000 for property demos.
And then we're putting 700,000 in the other one, correct?
750 stays intact.
Oh, okay.
I thought we were moving 50.
I said we could if we needed to, but.
He had suggested moving it, so you're
I
doing 700
misunderstood.
and 150 instead of 750 and 1.
I'm the only
But-
one voice on that, you know.
I'm okay with that. I mean, if you guys want to do that, that's a simple change that we could, I don't think that's really going to make a difference that merits a special meeting.
Can we vote on that tonight if we change it?
I think we can do the agenda item with the change, with that change, right? And approve it that way?
Making a motion to amend the proposed budget.
Yeah, you can,
It doesn't change the amount though unless you're adding 50, right?
Right, right.
It's moving 50.
We're moving.
Right,
Oh, okay.
right.
So we're
the
good.
amount doesn't
The
change.
amount doesn't change.
So you can approve it tonight, I believe.
Just approve the budget with that one change.
Right, we're not changing it.
You're not changing- you're
Just the
moving.
fund amounts is all, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
I mean, I guess I could ask this, can they spend 150 in a year?
Oh, yeah.
They can, okay, well then,
It's 10 structures.
okay. Yeah, I would like to do that if everybody else agrees. But we haven't heard from the public yet either.
All right, anything else? Anybody have any other discussion? Do we have anybody else who would like to, this is a public hearing, so just want to make sure,
So after tonight, then, how will we communicate to the public what we've done?
it's the same that's already been posted, correct? We're just changing, we're not even really changing it, we're just adjusting the amounts.
I
So-
guess I'm asking it the wrong way. I get, people express to me concerns that they're not quite sure what is going on at the city level for street repair, for police enforcement, for things like that. How do we, I mean, and a lot of questions came up about the budget. So how do we find out, this is just for public information, how does our public find out what we've done and what
Yeah,
we're
that's-
planning to do?
Well, that's what this is for. You've also posted everything as well. And then it'll be online as well. You can at least listen to it, so
So you put it
everybody's
online?
comments.
Okay.
Well, the budget is public record anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
but-
I understand, it's just that people aren't putting forward the effort to find out or don't know where to initially look. I mean, we know because we do this
So you
And-
tell them.
all the time.
Yeah.
But
And
I can't go
our-
tell everyone in my
It's your
ward,
responsibility
here's
for the
what you
ones
look
that
for.
call you to
Huh?
say, when they call you,
Yeah, you
say
can call,
there's,
we'll give you the phone numbers of everybody in your ward and you can call them.
Hey, yeah, that's a good idea. I have most of the addresses.
they know where you live, buddy.
I just want to add that, you know, when Steve says we meet with this in advance, we can't all meet. It's just a few of us at a
Yeah.
time, meeting with Steve and some other city staff and trying to iron out some of the details. But we can't all discuss it like this until we're in an official meeting.
That's right.
So to make these changes and pin it down, it takes us doing it in a meeting like this.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's important for people to understand
It is.
because, but what, we can meet 4 at a time or 3 at a time or something like that?
cannot
can't
have
have a
a
quorum.
In
cannot
order
have a
to
quorum.
avoid the open meetings or be compliant with open meetings law. So this is what we do 4 or 5 at a time. And the first time that we've been able to sit down with all of us that could be here and talk about it.
Not 5.
Just 4.
4, okay, sorry, 4, yeah, 5's over the mark, so that's a good point. to
Hey,
bring up.
something else I might bring up, because I know we're starting to have a lot of public meetings and such for the town, for things that we can improve the town with and things of that nature. I don't know how we want to approach this, but if we all end up at that meeting, technically, do we have an issue with an open, I mean.
Yes.
So if there's some kind of meeting that's going on or something that, you know, we all know we're going to attend, how do we rectify that? Because I mean, it's one thing because people say, well, we had a public meeting and, you know, you only had 2 or 3 show up. I'm like, well, here's the thing. You get over 4, we got a problem. And so we got to find some kind of solution for that to be posted or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we will post the meeting if we know that there are multiple council members that are going to be there.
Because some of these are townwide
Most
meetings.
often,
so-
it'll be a social agenda, and we'll
Yeah.
post it anyway. But, yeah, in a case where the city business might be discussed, we would need a full.
So I don't know if we can give them a point of contact. I don't know who that would be at the city to say, hey, it's you. Okay. So just to make sure we're not out of line, because we don't want to all show up and then someone has to leave. It's really not fair if you did that. But just to make sure someone at least post it so we don't get in trouble for it. So. All right. Anything else? We don't want to hold people too long. So. All right, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And can we move the presentation for the Humane Society up so that people can kind of get out of here and do that now so we don't keep everybody? Okay. So we've got a presentation from the Seminole Humane Society. And Kristen, we called you up earlier by mistake, so you get to come back now.
You want to identify which one that is on the agenda, so.
Yep, it is. Where's my paper go? Which one is it, guys? Yeah, it's the addendum item, but what number is it?
Doesn't have a number.
So it doesn't have a number, so presentation. All right. We got videos.
Good evening, my name is Kristen Hill. I'm a new board member for the Seminole Humane Society. We have a new board with fresh energy and some great ideas to help make the shelter the best it can be. I want to thank you for allowing us to be on the agenda tonight because it's an honor to present this to the leaders of Seminole. The Seminole Humane Society is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to help the stray and abandoned animals of Seminole. The Seminole Humane Society manages and operates the Seminole Animal Shelter as a partner with the City of Seminole. The Seminole Humane Society is made up of a volunteer board of 15 members, including a president and vice president, 1 full-time and 4 part-time employees. In 2015, the Seminole Humane Society entered into an agreement with the city to manage the animal shelter. We transitioned to a no-kill facility and worked to stay compliant with inspections from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture. The services we provide to the city are we retrieve, accept, and house stray or unwanted pets, ensure free health care, and spay and neuter each sheltered pet, provide food, bathing, and socialization for sheltered animals, facilitate adoption and foster services, enforce city pet ordinances. Our animal control officer is a full-time employee of the Seminole Humane Society. She investigates complaints from the public and other agencies regarding nuisances, strays, uncontrolled, dangerous, or diseased animals in the most humane way possible. She patrols daily, she's on call for emergency situations, she retrieves and delivers animals to the shelter, and she issues citations to pet owners that are in violation of city ordinances. A typical day for the shelter. Animal control officer receives public calls for stray animals to be retrieved. We coordinate with local veterinarians to provide urgent care for sick or injured animals citations to unlawful pet owners for code violations ranging anywhere from animal cruelty to allowing pets to run at large. We purchase food and supplies, we solicit, vet, and approve official adoptions and fosters. We feed, water, and clean feeds. Adoptions by the year. In 2020, we had 405 adoptions. In 2021, we had 272. And in 2022, we had 224. Adoptions are decreasing just in those 3 years alone by 181. This is a breakdown of the budget from the city of Seminole, the recurring donations, and revenue from the adoption fees. In 2020, we received $5,483 from the city, a $2,500 private monthly donation, and our adoption fees were around $12,150. In 2021, we received $5,483 from the city, a $2,500 private monthly donation, and our adoption fees were around $8,160. In 2022, we received $5,483 from the city, a $2,500 private monthly donation, and our adoption fees were around $6,720. In 2023, we received $5,483 from the city. Our significant monthly donation has been reduced by $1,000, leaving the Humane Society with $1,500 on our recurring monthly donations this year. And our adoption fees are at $3,600 for 6 months. The animal shelter is at max capacity. Per state regulations, our facilities are only allowed to board 49 animals. We are continuously looking for fosters, but when we are overcrowded, we do have to pay for boarding. The cost of boarding a dog is around $280 per week. Reasons why the shelter is at max capacity. Shelters across the country are experiencing high rates of overcrowding, not just the Seminole Humane Society. Rising inflation. People are giving up or abandoning pets they can't afford. A decrease in adoptions and fosters. Pet owners not spaying or neutering. Pets running at large, and non-licensed backyard breeders. The price of dog food has increased by 45.5% when compared to 2020 prices. So today, an average 40-pound bag of dog food would be $28.78. When back in 2020, an average 40-pound bag of dog food would have been $15.78. The shelter goes through 315 pounds of dog food per week. $1,000 is 35 40-pound bags of dog food. Vet care and supplies are the most expensive budget item. It costs $60 to spay and neuter a pet in 2023 compared to the 2021 pricing of $37.50. Shots can range anywhere from $20 to $60 per animal at 4 rounds each. Emergency vet bills can range anywhere from $100 to $2,000 per animal. We rely timely on the donations of our citizens. Here are some ways that they help us. Monetary donations, donating supplies and food, volunteering, like taking dogs for a walk, bathing, and helping clean the shelter, adopting a pet, or fostering. If you want to be a community partner, contact us anytime. If you would like to donate, this is a list of supplies needed. Paper towels, blankets, bleach, cleaning supplies, mops, kennels, dog food, cat food, canned food, treats, leashes, collars, and toys. So what's the point of all of this? With the inflation of pet food, supplies, and vet bills, enforcing ordinances, a decrease in recurring donation funds, maintenance of the shelter, we need all paws on deck. How to help? An increase in funds from community partners and the city of Seminole. The shelter to receive funds from the fines of citations issued by the animal control officer. Stricter enforcement of city ordinances after at least 3 citations. We cannot mention the Seminole Humane Society without mentioning our founder. the most loved woman in Seminole, who had the biggest heart for all animals. Jasmine Morin researched and founded the Seminole Humane Society and turned our facility into the no-kill shelter we know today. In her passing, the animals at the shelter lost their best friend and their biggest supporter. The Humane Society continues to honor Jasmine's legacy and philosophy that all animals lost, strayed, or abandoned are treated humanely with the love and care that they deserve. The animal shelter is a great asset to the city of Seminole. We should be proud to be on the list of no-kill shelters. It's a hard job that requires sacrifice, love, and lots of patience. Our president and treasurer, Marianne and Marta, both sacrifice so much and work hard to keep the shelter running. They do all the behind-the-scene work that no one notices, and they do all of that without a paycheck and while working full-time jobs. A lot of lives depend on the success of the Seminole Humane Society. And I just want to note that the numbers given in this presentation are not approximate, so if you would like more specific figures, so please contact the Seminole Humane Society and our treasurer, and she would be glad to get those figures for you. They're just a rough roundabout figure. Our four-legged friends at the animal shelter need the community's help. These friends did not ask for a life at the shelter, but it is our job to make sure they are loved and cared for. 2023 has been the hardest year for the Humane Society. With inflation of supplies, a major decrease in recurring donations, and adoption rates decreasing rapidly, the shelter needs more help than ever. We are thankful and appreciative of every donation, whether it be monetary or supplies. You can volunteer or scan the QR code to donate or visit our website to see the available pets for adoption or sign up to be a foster home. But you better watch out, you might fall in love and have a new furry family member like my husband and I did. I want to end with one of my favorite quotes. In a perfect world, every home would have a dog, and every dog would have a home. Author unknown. Thank you all for your time. And Marta and Marianne are here if you guys do have questions.
You don't want to answer questions?
She's new.
All right. Thank you for that presentation. We appreciate that. A lot of people, I don't think, had any idea of the cost of what you guys are putting forth. So it's good information. I have 2 dogs that I wish my kids would take with them because I feed them and they don't, but they're treated like royalty, so I'll keep them. So, all right. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you for that presentation. It does really help to understand what it is that, kind of goes, one, who you are, what you do, what services you provide the town. I kind of equate it to, how I feel about when I hear a siren. I know our police department and our fire department and folks, they're working all hours of the day. When I'm sitting on my couch binge watching Game of Thrones, I'm not having to be bothered. But when I hear that, I know that our town they're taking care of these issues. And because of this presentation and just learning of the work that you do, I will also now start to think about, when I think of those things, the Humane Society is also dealing with these issues while the rest of us are just kind of living our lives and going on. That you're helping these animals, that we see either they're loose or they're up for adoption. We know that they're on your radar and that you're handling it. And I also want to thank the City Council for, in the budget that we just discussed, there is a significant increase. I think that was your term, Steve, to the animal shelter, and I think that's going to really help them address those issues that were just listed. So thank you to the council, and thank you, Kristen.
One point of clarification. One point of clarification. We do have a contract with the Humane Society that's for $65,799. That's has been expended in our budget since 2022. So we're talking about adding $50,000 to that.
Nice. So there you go. All right. Moving on.
I have a question.
Oh, my bad.
Question, it's okay, sorry.
Don't let me stop.
In that, you said you could house, I believe, 48 animals at one time, and that the shelter's 49, and the shelter's always full So, I mean, obviously you don't have much money to work with there, so how many are you having to board at one time, and what happens?
I'm having to beg for foster homes, and I have to one time with alone my
So,
2-month-old baby and my big dog.
so would you say that this is inhibiting your ability to be able to pick up strays? I mean, are we having to leave strays out on the street because we don't have anywhere to put them?
We always pick up the, no, we pick them out.
Pick them up regardless?
And work it out.
Okay.
I just tell animal control, they just go out, do their thing, and what happens on the other side of the desk, that's up to us. So we have to work it out.
Okay.
We go pick up every stray.
Okay.
And that's just the way it is.
Okay. Thank you.
And these are all strays, they're not, I see them before. And we don't take on the surrenders, we deal with that other way, we have another way. But Jasmine really didn't want to take on the surrenders because she knew that, they're the first to be euthanized, and our shelter's small, and so we help owners in other ways. But we do, we pick every stray up, and we just have to look at it.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry. Chris, I also am aware that when, I know that they coordinate with other states and other rescues, and I've heard some extraordinary stories and seen it on Facebook, how they have somebody who will actually fly, or they'll come here, pick up just, quite a few of the dogs here and move them to, is it like Colorado? Is that the one that takes a lot?
They need Iowa.
Iowa.
And on that chart, just real quickly, the adoptions are down because things are so high, but we still transport out to Iowa, and probably last year, 132, so it's not that dire, it's adoptions are down, but we still transport out a lot. It's slowed down some because the rescues are full too, but we're still doing that. We sent 6 to Iowa this past Friday, so we're fortunate to keep that going.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think
Vice.
I would be remiss, Vice Mayor, if I didn't convey some of the other side of the issue, all right? My wife and I are huge supporters of the Humane Society. We love all animals, but the stray problem has gotten worse. You had testimony last month from someone who had a cat that was killed on her porch, and the dog was returned to the owner soon after. So the stray issue has gotten much worse. And the discussion in the individual work sessions was, all right, we're going to give them more money, but we're going to have more expectations placed upon them. So just so everybody's clear, we want the stray problem to significantly improve. That's all I needed to say.
I agree with you. I have a little dog, I don't, my girlfriend does. Can't hardly put it out on a line to run back and forth and, and act like a dog. Have to sit there and watch it for fear that larger dogs will come through and just find a snack on a rope. And they do come through. So we're not out there to watch the dog while we've got it tied up. I haven't seen strays so active as they are now.
And as far as the ordinances, if we need to make any changes to ordinances, who would they need to bring that to, us or, I know we have the planning commission, but they would bring that to the planning commission, wouldn't they?
Well, based on the conversations that we had last time, we've got some proposed changes, a few that we were looking at to add to our current ordinances. But since that last meeting, I obtained a copy of Bristow's ordinances. These were completely revamped from their city attorney. They did a really good job. They took a lot of different cities. I think this was based kind of off of maybe Norman or Moore, and they kind of adapted it to their own town. But I've sent that to John, Chief Withers, to take a look at. But I will tell you that that is based on, there are provisions in there, they have a kill shelter. You know, they euthanize. So that's, you know, that would have to be obviously modified for ours. But to answer your question, you know, they can probably just talk to one of you or one of us. You know, I would probably, Chief Withers is kind of spearheading that, so I would say that's what we would kind of run everything through the chief of police, and he can bring it to me. And then one other thing I want to correct, but it's just probably to clarify. So we, in essence, have privatized our shelter, and we chose to do that like 3 years ago, or however many years it was ago, to let the Humane Society do it. You know, who is going to challenge the Humane Society on taking care of animals, right? So it's a win-win for the public, for us. You know, we don't have any really liability issues or anything from the city standpoint, and we've got the best people taking care of the animals. But at the same time, we still have an enforcement obligation. And one of the things I just want to make clear is that every officer that we have, every police officer, are able to issue citations. It's not just the animal, you know, we have an animal control officer that is a part of the shelter. When I receive those citations, they're not citations that come from her. Those are citizen complaints because she's not a police officer. But we still are able to get to the same place with a charge against those property owners that they bring, or the pet owners, they bring that to us through the citizen complaint process, which is through the Humane Society, and then our police officers can issue citations. It's the same thing. So I just want to make that clear when they say our ACO issues citations. It's really not citations, they're citizen complaints on behalf of the people that are aggrieved, but also on behalf of the shelter. So it's a really good way to kind of, use all the available resources to enforce our code. So, but we're looking at this, and we're going to be trying to work with the Humane Society, and we'll probably come forward here pretty quick. I would probably say by the end of the summer, and we're at least going to modify our existing ordinances just for the time being until we can make it even better.
So I guess those things aren't without retribution or threats of retribution, which I think is probably a big problem that I don't know even where to start on. But they issue a citation, especially about a dog. Those people, are quite threatening. And it's, to say the least, they're not very forgetful of the event. My neighbor's been mad at me for 6 years because I asked him, or insisted, I was a little more than just asking, about the third or fourth time I insisted that he either pick up after his dog or keep him over on his yard. He still brings it up.
So we've, just on that note, we've looked at the kind of the 3 strikes you're out type thing. That's just one of the additions that the Humane Society brought to us about, what can we do? I think their proposal is to ban ownership of pets by any person that has had 3 offenses. And we want to, I just looked at that, and that's something that this council wants to do. It'll be up to you to decide that. I've made the suggestion that we maybe look at 3 convictions. I think that they were looking at it from having 3 warrants for arrest, but I think we need to probably have convictions just from a due process standpoint. But that's going to be something I think you're going to see here pretty quick.
How many people does that apply to at present, would you think? I'm just kind of looking for a percentage of those folks that come through court. How many of them actually get to the 3rd citation?
I cannot give you one instance that I know, maybe 1 or 2 over the I just
Okay,
don't
so
see three.
Probably an ineffective
And,
strategy then.
and that's not to say they don't violate it, it's just, you know, a lot of that is handled at the lowest level with the animal control authority, so it may not make it to my level.
Okay, thank you.
All right. If it's okay with everybody else, we're gonna,
We're ready.
Mr.
Move
Vice
on.
Mayor, could we move to item 13? We have a special guest with us tonight.
we could. All right. Item 13, everybody got to it? Consideration and possible action to approve Larson Design Group as the architectural firm to design the Family Entertainment Center. You want to give us some?
We have finally arrived at the day that we are selecting our design group, the architectural group. James, do you want to come up and kind of tell us a little bit about your firm and maybe a little bit about the experience you might have had doing entertainment center?
Excuse me. My name is James Howard with Larson Design Group. I'm one of the principals. I have been a resident of Oklahoma my entire life. My family is from Uloka. I have family here in Seminole, and I have good friends that live in this area. And it's an honor to be selected to design this facility for you. We have an immense experience in entertainment facilities around the country, to include companies such as the Main Event. We've also partnered with a specialist that is right here in Oklahoma as well. So you're getting the best of both worlds in terms of the expertise, but also someone that is familiar with this particular marketplace and is within arm's reach if anything goes wrong. If you have any concerns, we're going to be there with you all the way. And that firm is Cornerstone. It's someone that I've worked with in the past, and we've had great success with. So it's a pleasure, again, to be here and be considered for any questions?
What's your bowling average?
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to put it below 100.
Oh, gosh.
I'll be honest with you.
Wow.
Laser tag, that's-
Oh, laser tag, okay, all right.
I've got good kids.
Below 100 with gutters. Man, that's bad.
Again, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Good. All right. We're going to go and move back to approvals and acceptances. So item number 1, consideration and possible action to approve the reallocation of capital improvement project CIP funds of $50,000 originally approved as CDBG grant match to the following projects. $25,000 to Sportsman's Lake for the cost overages on construction of new bathrooms originally budgeted for $85,000, and $10,000 to community development for a large format replacement printer, and $10,000 for the purchase of a drone, see item 2 below, for a total reallocation of $45,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to bids and purchasing. Consideration and possible action to approve the bid of $6,699.28 from American Drones LLC for a DJI Mavic 3 thermal enterprise drone and batteries.
Don't know anything about drones, but it sounds like a deal to me, so.
What will it be used for?
That's,
So this is the latest in the DJI Mavic platform, DJI Mavic 3 Enterprise equipped thermal. The Enterprise kit comes with 3 batteries, fast chargers, real pro drone, Pro Controller SD card, like add, pull it out. For about the last 3 years, I've been using my personal drone, kind of keeping my tool bag, and I use that for map making for GIS. We use it to map out sewer lines. We make kind of like promo videos, like the roadways, with the new baseball fields, with tornado damage. There's a myriad of uses that we get out of it. Mine's at the end of life. That needs new batteries. I really don't want it over here anymore, so it's time to upgrade.
Thank you.
All right.
Motion to approve. Oh, did you have a question?
Second.
Did anybody else have a question? Sorry. Okay. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, consideration and possible action to approve the state bid price of $20,950 from Kansas Golf and Turf for a tow-behind broadcast top dresser, an approved capital improvement project, CIP, item for the Seminole Municipal Golf Course.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to ordinances. Consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1290, an ordinance amending refuse collection, containers, and fees to the City of Seminole Code of Ordinances. Do you have any
Not sure
question?
what that means.
What are we basically doing here is what Larry's
Brian?
asking.
This is
Or Jay?
This is the,
Rate increase.
It's,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it's a
just-
rate increase.
Oh, okay.
This is the annual rate increase from whether it was GFL or Central Disposal. It's in their contract that they can increase up to 5% for CPI. So it's something that we've done over, even when GFL was here, it was a continuum. With the increase in fuel, just like everything else.
I think that may be item number 6.
This is
Yeah.
this is the ordinance for our rate increase, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're gonna see two of them, this will be our rate increase, and then there's another one coming up, which will be the 5% increase. Our increase reflects exactly what.
What they're charging.
Disposal's asking for.
Okay. All right.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on. Resolutions. Consideration and possible action to approve resolution number 2023-13, a resolution approving the City of Seminole's consolidated budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024.
I'll just say one more thing about the budget, not changing it really, but before we vote on it, is that time passed? We can still say, talk about it, can't we?
You got consideration, so yes.
Okay. I would just like to say, since I've been on council for some time, we've been able to do more this year than ever before. We've had more money and more projects that we could undertake. And when I mentioned earlier about these larger projects and doing some type of maintenance fund for them, I say that because I've been on the council when we've had to cut back during the middle of the year because we didn't have enough money, when we barely were able to make the budget work, where we've had, we didn't know what we were going to do. And I say that because as we do these big projects and we want to see them taken care of and last a long time, if we can find a way to do this, and I'm not saying this year, but while times are good, let's try to find a way to put money back for these things like we did for the Wellness Center, do that for the Entertainment Center, for the new park, so that future councils aren't faced with letting something go if something does go wrong or if maintenance has to be performed. I just wanted to clarify a little bit what I meant by that, because that time may come again. I hope it doesn't, but it could. So.
You mean you don't want to spend all the money as fast as we can?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's kind of like the idea behind the the road, the Bourne Boulevard, things like that. Let's think about that for some of our larger asset items that we want to make sure are taken care of too. But anyway, that's all I have, and if nobody else has anything, I'll make a motion that we approve the budget.
I do think we need to note the amendment of the SURA 750 to 700 and the property demolitions increased to 150.
Right.
I'll make my motion with those changes that Steve just mentioned.
Okay.
No, you second. Second.
Yeah, we need a second. Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to current business. Consideration and possible action to approve a 5% consumer price index increase on solid waste rates from Central Disposal effective July 1, 2023, in accordance with the provisions of their contract, which we've already discussed this, so.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to item 7, consideration and possible action to approve renewal of the lease agreement with Seminole Public Schools for use of field number 3 at the Seminole Softball Complex for an annual fee of $2,000 effective July 1, 2023.
Motion to approve.
I have a question. Sorry. What is the use for?
For the high school games for the girls softball. They use that field,
Got the quad.
The,
southeast one.
okay, so we're talking about the city leasing field number 3 at the quad here for the high school team.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 8, consideration and possible action to approve renewal of the lease agreement with MM&H Property Management, LLC, for maintaining, managing, and operating the municipal golf course and facilities for a monthly fee of $8,166.66 or $86,000 annually, effective July 1, 2023.
I got a question, or maybe a comment on that. We've installed new greens for them, and I know that they're gonna be losing some revenue from nobody playing there while we're waiting for these new
Right.
greens. I don't know if this is the place to add something in, or if we need to make somewhere down the road, but just something to talk about to see if we can help them out while they're not making anything based upon our decision to redo the greens. I don't know if that's,
Is this something that coincides with our fiscal years while we're doing it now? That
Yes.
contract?
Yes. I would hesitate to do it in this agenda item
do it.
because we've already stated an amount. But I think that's something we could do a budget modification on later.
I'd like for them to maybe give us some idea of the revenue they expect to lose or that they lost, and, and present us with something though, rather than us try to come up with a number anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
we have no idea.
It's a good idea.
I move to approve eight.
I'm
No,
sorry.
go ahead. Sorry.
You're so fast. So this is to give the lease to MM&H Property Management LLC, right? And they currently have it today?
Yes.
Was there anyone else, was this posted, or did anyone else show interest in holding the lease?
So this is similar to the Silver Star Street contract where we bid it. Is it a 5-year term, Bake? 5? Yeah, this is a 5-year term, but it's annually renewable.
Okay.
So our contract was bid approximately 3 years ago, so there's maybe 2 years left.
Okay, so that, someone else wanting to hold that lease, that won't happen for 2 more years?
Right.
Got it, thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 9, consideration and possible action to approve the transfer of Series 2004-2012 refunded revenue bond proceeds in the amount of $100,000 to the Seminole Economic Development Council for the acquisition of real property. The current account balance before the transfer that is designated for economic development purposes is $404,155.
Do we know what the property is?
Yes, ma'am. It's 13.8 acres adjacent to the Latham Pools project. This is part of the attraction package that SEDC has for Latham Pools to locate in Seminole.
Gotcha.
I move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 10, consideration and possible action to approve the closing of Keith Marshall Street at Grisso and Lloyd Simmons at Main and Wilson the evening of July 4th for the annual 4th of July fireworks display.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 11, consideration and possible action to approve the transfer of Series 2004-2012 refunded revenue bond proceeds in the amount of $75,000 to the Seminole Economic Development Council for the acquisition of real property.
Is this for the same property?
No, ma'am. This is, I may have got them backwards, did I? I did. Oh, I stand corrected. The first thing that you talked about in item 9 is for 9 acres on Bourne Boulevard for the purpose of expansion of Oklahoma Custom Coating.
Gotcha.
They are expanding across the road and creating 40 new jobs, and this is our participation in that. The Seminole Industrial Foundation is also buying a piece of that. And so that's the first one. This one is for the Latham Pools.
Gotcha.
They're not located on Bourne, are they? Aren't they on Ideal?
Custom coating is on board.
Oklahoma Custom Coating, if you're familiar with the Seminole Nation Daycare,
Yeah.
this car
Oh,
wash,
that is, yeah.
so right
Sorry.
across the street
I
is
already
Oklahoma.
made a turn.
Yeah.
You better turn around.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 12, consideration and possible action to approve a 4th of July event to be held on July 4th from 5 to 9 p.m., preceding the fireworks display at Magnolia Park.
Move approval.
Second.
Did you have something you want to say first?
Just an explanation.
Okay.
The city staff has kind of rallied around this cause. We've been informed that the chamber is not going to do anything on the 4th of July. So our city staff is kind of shouldering this, and it's not going to be any kind of blow-ups or anything, but we're going to try to do things like a cornhole tournament, sack races, fun stuff. And we may go out and try to raise a little bit of money. We're not asking the city council for public funds, but we are going to probably go around town, try to raise a little bit to buy watermelons for free watermelon, things like that. So I just want you to approve that if you care to.
We don't need to change the motions. We got them?
Got him.
Okay, roll call.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to remarks and inquiries of mayor and city council members. We're going to start in Ward 1. Larry Church.
Well, I'll I never can get the letters right, but it's LGBTQ, whatever. It's Gay Pride Month. And I understand that this year the Seminole Arts Council is holding that event at Seminole State College. I just want to encourage people to support that and participate in any ways that you can. It's a touchy issue in communities like ours, where there's misconception, I think, about how many of us are actually gay or bisexual, things like that. Nobody wants to talk about it. But it's a larger percentage than I think most people ever imagine, say 10 to 30%. Just look it up, you know. So let's show some support for that. I'm just asking for support. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome. Dana Miller.
So happy Pride Month, everyone. Welcome to Ward 1. So on June 31st, I attended a community meeting that was hosted by, I'm guessing it's quite a few folks, but the ones that I saw kind of leading the meeting were Amanda and Will Kuhner, who are here. Wave, yay. And I was really excited to attend this meeting. They had 2 times. One was in the at noon and one was in the evening. And I was looking forward to it because I wanted to, just hear what our constituents have to say about how they feel about the status of our city and kind of the direction we're going. It's always great to hear that feedback because, in my opinion, that's our whole job, right? So one of the takeaways I got from that was the discussion being how do we keep our best resources in Seminole, our best resource, which is our people. The people who love our town, the people who want it to be better, the people who don't abandon it and leave and or take advantage of it. They stay here to make it better. And, if anything, it was just great to see the huge turnout of people who I think, were like-minded and wanted to share their ideas or hear the ideas of others. And one of the takeaways that I got from it is, and I hope there's more. I hope there's maybe some coordination with the plan that you had talked about in our budget.
Ma'am.
Because the community-driven strategic plan, I think, is just amazing, and I would love to see how maybe that works in other towns, if that's even something that happens. But I think it's exciting. One of the takeaways that I personally am going to do with it is to be more engaged with my constituents in Ward 1. And I had talked to Will actually on an idea that I had been kicking around, and I just wanted to just kind of let you all know that that's what I'm doing, because I think if I say it publicly, I'm committed to it. And that is maybe a monthly or event, just donuts and coffee, donuts with Dana. Come and sit with me and let's have. I'm trying to think of something else better than donuts, but something that you can that I would have where my constituents can just come face to face and one, develop those relationships, but also help be engaged in things that we're doing at this level of the city. This budget process that we just did, I would love for our constituents to be involved, and hopefully next year I'll figure out a better way to engage them before we actually get to make decisions on their behalf. So I just wanted to let you all know that meeting was great. Again, I'd be on the lookout for any other ones, and I would encourage you all to attend if you can. That's all I have.
So you have donuts with Dana and we have laughing with Larry? Is that how this is going to go? All right, awesome.
How about
I'm glad I could help y'all out. Hey.
laughing at Larry?
Yeah. I'll move on to Ward 3. So I guess I was essentially supposed to do the mayor's spot, but I'm not used to doing that. First off, I appreciate the city staff and everyone working so hard on budget. For you guys that are here that don't know, there's a ton of items that get put on that board that are a request every year. And when you have to narrow that down and decide what's important, sometimes it's pretty hard. But I think we did pretty good this year. So, also the Humane Society, I don't know how you guys do that, but I'm glad that they are there. I'm glad that they're here to support us and help us. So we appreciate you. And also, I just want to give some condolences to the family of Dee Dee Patterson, who passed away. He was our longtime council member here for a very long time. I don't know how many years was he on, the 20 years or so? But I think his services are this Saturday, the 17th. So if you guys know any of his families, please send your condolences to him. He was a great man, and a lot of people are going to miss him. So that's all I had. Ward 2, John Kramer. Eddie?
Oh, I would just, again, want to say how much I'm pleased with the work that went in on the budget, even though I don't agree with everything that's in there. But I am impressed with the amount of work that's turned in to come up with a budget of this size. And knowing what you should hold in reserves, as having been in a business like that, I'm well behind you, Steve.
Thank you.
All right. Ward 4, Chris Hansen.
I just want to thank the staff for doing all the work, putting that budget together. That's a lot of work, a lot of numbers, and a lot of tracking. And as we've seen it grow from, well, how much was the total budget this year? 29. I think it was 8 million when I started. So that's a significant increase, in what, 17, 18 years. So anyway, I appreciate all that work and everything else that everybody else does to make our city work. Thank you.
All right, Trace Connor.
I just wanted to appreciate everybody that showed up tonight. I mean, we had a full house. That was quite impressive. I was able to attend the Latham opening, ribbon cutting. Congratulations to them, bringing in a fabulous, facility and everything. So they're really going to do great things here in Seminole. About all I have.
City Manager, it's on you now.
Just know we're not done. We're fixing to get a lot better, quick, and I'm super excited. I do want to echo about Dee Dee Patterson. He served this community on our city council. Man, what a superhuman being he was, and the services are Saturday at 1 p.m. and I encourage everyone that can go out and show your support to the family. Priority right now, I need to introduce to you our new interim fire chief and our interim EMS chief. All right? You guys stand up. Merrick Ashby is our EMS chief. Scott Childers is our new interim fire chief. Thank you very much. Great expectations of these two. I think they're experts in their field, and that's kind of why we've chosen to split that chief duty. It's extremely, if not impossible, to be an expert in fire at the same time that you're an expert in emergency medicine. So I'm hoping that this flies well and that eventually we make our way into a permanent situation. I want to acknowledge Matt Pollock for providing a U.S. flag tonight. That was well done. We've already talked about the 4th of July, Latham Pools. Congratulations. The golf greens that you guys voted on last month are down. Thank you, Trace, for your yeoman's work on that as well. City staff did a good job, and John Taylor, appreciate all that hard work. You guys deserve applause for the budget work. It's not easy. It is so not easy to have $8 million in request and try to trim that down into something that is consumable. But none of that happens without Jay Cox. Jay makes this machine work, especially with regard to the budget. And thank you, Jay. Personal thank you. man, have you guys, anybody noticing all the softball and baseball traffic in town? I mean, it's phenomenal. And I'm loving it. I mean, I'm not used to waiting in line, but I certainly don't mind if they've got softball and uniforms or baseball uniforms. Bravo! It just means that this council is going to have a little bit more to do, more projects with.
Maybe Larry would propose having batting cages.
Batting cages.
I never was a good batter.
Never was.
I can play a
Not a
game.
good batter, not a good golfer. We're already laughing with Larry.
Laughing with Larry. You guys know what happened on the 522 district vote? Did not pass. Okay. I'll skip that. The ambulance service in Seminole County, the 522 district did not pass. I don't know that has a tremendous impact on Seminole. It will have some, but I feel sorry for those that are left unprotected. And man, that's wow. We did receive a SCADA system grant from USDA for $323,000 or so, and which was about $700,000 less than what we had been led to believe. They indicated to us that they felt like we could afford to borrow the money. Well, be that as it may, I'm going to go light on USDA because we've got a $21 million loan pending with them. But I do think that it's sad that communities, especially our size, that are extremely responsible with their financial resources get penalized. To me, that's sad. And I do have a heart for communities that are having trouble making ends meet, but that's in large part because of their leadership. Their city councils don't make difficult decisions in lean years that position themselves to be better in the long run, and this council has done that consistently. And so I'm going to pat you on the back at the same time I'm pouting about losing $700,000 in grant money. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
All right. City Attorney? All right. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So move, yeah. Move, second, do it all.
All right. All in favor?